Helping women get confident on camera is one of the things that just lights me up. And every time I see someone jump off, I don't want to say a building, but that building and fly on camera, it just makes me so happy because I know I'm helping them create opportunities, create income. Like it's a whole other thing. And then they get excited and want to do more. And so that's the way that I look at it because I'm giving someone else abundance whenever I get on camera.
How confident are you with using video to promote your business? Hi there, it's Sewa, and welcome to another episode of the She's Off Script podcast. For this episode of the Summer Refresh series, we meet Xayli Barclay, who's a video coach for online business owners. Not only does she teach business owners where to start with using video, she also helps them get more confident and teaches them the right kind of video content to use on different platforms. So if you're interested in learning the skill of using video to promote your business, keep on listening, but also don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. I release new episodes every Thursday in both audio and video format. All right, let's dive into the episode.
Xayli Barclay, welcome to She's Off Script. Thank you for being here today.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So for the listeners who haven't heard of you, could you share who you are and what you do?
Okay, so a few things, but primarily I am Xayli Barclay. I'm a content creation coach, a visual content creation coach, but I really specialize in video. I love helping people get confident on camera and really share their passion and purpose and monetize that. I feel like you can definitely connect on a deeper level with video and you can get where you're going faster. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on.
So I have to say, I love your story and you are so good at sharing it. You're a great visual and verbal storyteller. So in doing research, I've learned a lot about you. But where I wanted to start was you had shared recently with ConvertKit the story of your grandmother and how she was an entrepreneur. So how do you think her being an entrepreneur fueled your drive to launch your own business?
Yeah, sure. It's so insane. I feel like it's what I was born into. It's what I saw, as a kid, as a really young kid growing up, I would be sitting at her feet and she had like a little market and she would provide food and goods for the villagers because I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, a really tiny, tiny little town, way in the bushes, girl. And so
we know it. The first time I heard of Trinidad and Tobago was when you guys had your first Miss World or Miss Universe, one of the two. I was super young and they were like, Trinidad and Tobago. I was like, oh,
there was a brown girl.
I know. There wasn't even Google at the time, but I still remember it because I don't know how old I was when you guys had your first. Anyway, continue.
That was some good memory. That was Miss Universe. We had a Miss World way back, but Miss Universe was the second big win that we had. And that was amazing. Yeah. And that was so powerful seeing her anyway. So, so I was born in Trinidad and I was able to see my grandmother work so hard with her market. And she made so much food and she made so much goods and people just loved her. And just seeing her exchange money for goods and services was huge for me. And I think even as I grew, and I didn't share much of this on the ConvertKit story because we had a limited time, but my dad worked for himself. His father worked for himself. So I've seen it.
This is your lineage.
Yes. So it's kind of like growing up, my mom and dad were separate. And so I would go spend time at my dad's and spend time at my mom's. And so one thing that was always memorable to me is that my grandfather had his office in his home. And every family member had an office in their home, like all of my dad's brothers. And so that's what I saw. And so it's only when I started looking for my own home, I realized I was always looking for an office space. And then I connected back to that, like, oh, wow, that's kind of what I grew up with business transactions happening all around me, seeing the exchange of goods and services. And I remember when I first started exchanging goods and services for money, it was so scary. And my dad would tell me, why can't you just do it? And I'm like, Dad, I don't know. So it's like, even though I grew with it, there came the time to take action and I was still afraid. So I still had to process things on that journey. So it's not like it was there and I completely killed it when I started, because girl, I didn't.
Plus, you're operating in a totally different landscape than
Oh,
they
yes.
were,
Yes.
right? So it takes a little bit of getting used to, and it's a
Yes.
different kind of audience as well.
Exactly.
But fast forward from your grandmother, you get a scholarship, you land in New York,
Yes.
you land a job at a top PR firm,
Yeah.
work for a great finance company, and then
Mhm.
you quit to become a babysitter. Why the
Yeah.
drastic change?
Well, so I was a babysitter in college. So, you know, even though I had a scholarship, I still had to buy books. I still had things that popped when I was like, I didn't know about this. So I started out babysitting. And I think it's very customary for women from the Caribbean to, that's your first stop, babysitting. And so I saw my mom being a babysitter. I saw her friends and people around us. And I was like, okay, so, and they were making good money. And I was like, all right, so all of my college friends had jobs that were probably at fast food restaurants and things like that. And I was like, no, I'm going to do babysitting because that's what I see. And that's what I would be comfortable with. And it was scary, but so I started off making $20 an hour with one kid. And so I was like, and they were making $8 an hour, $7 an hour. So
Wow,
like,
that
I'm
is
not doing
not bad. But of course, you have to factor in that it is New York.
exactly. No, that's true. But I also knew people that were making less than me
Oh.
babysitting. So I kind of started understanding, you know, demanding, not even demanding. I think where I sold myself was I was an only child. And the first kid I babysat was an only child too. So I sold my ability to entertain and keep an only child engaged because I understood that. And I relate that now to my own business, in that you've got to know yourself in order to market yourself confidently to your clients and your customers and your students. So yeah, that
one
is,
experience built on top of
it really
another to get
does.
you where you are now.
Yes.
So, but what I love about you is you're not afraid to make the leap, but make it in a very educated, precise fashion. So
Yeah.
after living in New York for 12 years, you then moved to Dallas without knowing
Yeah.
anyone. So what prompted that move?
I was tired of New York, and I had been tired of it for some years, but my partner didn't want to move. And then we decided to take a break or separate. And so I was like, I have no reason to stay here. I can now just go do what I want to do, go see the world. And we had been together since college. So it had been a stretch of time. And so now I found myself in a place where I really wanted to learn myself or relearn who I was again. And I felt like New York wasn't the place to do that. So I started looking around. I had one student that I was really in consistent contact with, because she loved my courses and classes. And so I asked her, like, you know, Nicole, what is Dallas like? And she's like, girl, it is not like New York. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. I'm coming.
I'm
And
just
now that
looking
I
for the
look
opposite.
back, yeah, now that I look back, I laugh because it was not such an educated guess. I don't know. I call it just God, just, you know, moving along with me and keeping me. I'm so thankful that I ended up loving Dallas because I just moved without everything. I just started completely fresh. I left all of my clothes, everything. I like moved with one like travel bag, and that was it.
Wow.
And I had things waiting from Amazon on the other side in this place I'd never been to, this apartment that I'd never seen. And yeah.
Like jaw drop. And to think about where you are today, clearly Dallas was good for you. So could you talk to me about how your business has evolved from your days of sharing beauty tutorials on YouTube to now running a different sort of business?
Yeah, it was really a crazy transition. I feel like in making videos about beauty and stuff, I was really happy doing it, but I found that it was harder for me to scale in the way that I wanted to scale. I felt like the companies that I was interested in, they weren't ready to pay me what I was asking for. And I was like, there has to be another way for me to create this income that I'm in control of. I don't want to wait for someone to pay me. I want to be able to command my cash flow. And so one thing that I always got was, your personality on camera is amazing. How do you do that? And I'm like, oh, okay, take notes. And then your video quality is always amazing. You know, how do you do that? I'm like, okay, you know, this is something that I love. And I started helping others, and I realized that I really fell in love with helping other people open up on camera. And so I decided to make that shift up, and I did that within creating online courses. And so I became amazing at that too. And so I realized that I was in sort of a blue ocean where I knew so much about video content, how to create with video content, how to sell with it, how to build with it. And I knew so much about courses. And I feel like they're so intertwined, and people don't realize how much they really actually depend on each other for success.
So I know a lot of people also talk about having multiple streams of revenue as an entrepreneur. So at the point where you knew you wanted to be in command of your own cash flow, what did those multiple streams of income look like for you?
So definitely courses, online courses are a huge part of what I do and what I love. I even help others to create their own online courses. And obviously with that mixture of video content being the trump, or being the determining factor of, how you lead forward with it. And also affiliates. So that was another way that I made money as well. Brand partnerships was another way. I'm trying to remember if I'm sharing all. And I also own an agency where we completely create. So I teach people how to do it within courses, but I also just do it as well.
Like done for you services?
Yes.
So now do you find that companies are willing to pay you the price you're demanding?
Yeah, it's different. So before it was me being an influencer and, wanting that exchange of let me review your product or share about it, which is lucrative, don't get me wrong. But I think what happened was I switched from focusing on influencing into realizing what I can really offer a brand and how I can really help a brand, get access to my audience, but more based on relationships. So that transactional thing that everyone was doing before, where you just post one thing and that's it. I just realized that creating deeper relationships, and now I'm seeing people talk about it so much more, just becoming a brand ambassador of sorts. Like, I really rock with this brand. Most of the brands I share about are things that I've been using for years. It's even hard to get me to use something else. Like, newer companies are like, girl, I'm like, this is what I love, and I really, really want to share with my people what I love and what really works.
That also builds the trust, because we know that you're not just rotating the flavor of the week in front of us.
Yeah. Yes. And I definitely take a hit for it, but it's a good hit.
And so when you think back to your PR and finance days, how would you say your life has changed? Because you talk a lot about mindset and health and wealth. Could you give us a peek into a day in your life today?
Well, so I could go back a little bit and give you a peek of a day into my life back then. Just getting up and wondering, like, what am I doing? I remember years ago looking at an episode of Joan Rivers, rest in peace to her. And so she shared a video where she was showing her calendar for the next few years, and every single day was booked out.
Wow.
And she was doing something she loved. And I was like, I want that. I felt like when I was working in corporate America, I didn't feel like I knew what was happening, a projection of what was happening. I felt like I only knew what my assignments were that day. And I spent 8 hours in this place where I wasn't working in alignment with my passion or helping anyone that I could see. And I feel like that's something for me. That's definitely a huge component of me thriving. I need to be able to see the results of what I'm doing rather than only be a little speck in the whole process of something going on.
I can relate to that.
Yes. And so just, dark train rides I have seen so many people cry on a New York City train.
Oh my gosh.
Break down and bawl in their fancy suit and their briefcase. And those things stood out to me a lot. Like, you can see that they were probably doing what they were doing for years and just tired. Wow. And people are so immune to it. You just sit down and you look directly in front of you and you just don't think about that person crying because you have your own stuff going on, So yeah, things like that, to now waking up, praying, meditating, working out, having the time to really command my day and realize that I am in control and that I am actually knowing what I'm doing for the next 3-4 months, if so, because Corona definitely taught us a lesson, girl. She said, you don't have it all figured out.
Yep.
Slow down. right? And learning how to pivot, especially when you have your own business. How do you then not lay down and decide, oh my gosh, I'm going to let everything else control me, rather than you saying, hey, okay, this is what we're working with. All right. So these are the new moves that we need to make. So just being able to shift. And I remember working in corporate in that company, in the last company I worked for. And the older folks would complain so much every time they changed something, because they would change systems or processes, and they'd be like, you guys just changed this last week. I'm not doing this. I'm not coming to work anymore. And then tomorrow morning, they're in the office. And so I just realized that I don't want to be so closed off to learning things, new things that come along. I don't want to be that person, kind of like the rappers who are, because I love hip hop, the rappers who are like, oh, the new rappers are this and that, you know, because times are changing.
Exactly.
And
Different sound.
because I don't know what some of them are doing, but that's not for me to decide, you know? It's a new time. And so how can we pick up and see what they're doing right and what we possibly did wrong? Like, it's just all about mental evolution. And I believe in that. So
no, if you don't evolve, if you don't change and pivot, you get left behind.
You do.
You do. So
me trying to figure out TikTok, but you do. But when I figure it out, girl, I'm telling you.
You're coming to get us. You're coming for us.
Exactly. But yeah.
So, but today I do want you to get us together with our video game.
Yes.
I hear so often people say, okay, I don't want to get on camera because I don't think I look good enough. They're thinking I need to look like Jackie Aina when I'm on video. Or they don't think their skin is clear enough, whatever the case may be. So how do we get off, or how do we get over that initial mindset barrier to getting in front of a camera?
You know what? I even, for me, I had to like pull myself back a few steps as a coach. If you look at my Instagram profile, it's kind of like my journal, my whole life is on Instagram. But I remember being on Instagram and never showing up without makeup. And then when I started coaching, I realized that I'm making my people insecure. I'm showing them or giving them the wrong message. You can show up without all of the glam and still get your message across, right? So I started showing myself without it. And this was for my students. So I started putting myself out there to show them, hey, like, that was so hard, but it was so worth it. So just showing them that, hey, you can do this too. You know, it's not about how you look. And so the shift in that is realizing your purpose. That there's this thing that comes to you all the time. First of all, you know, you should be on camera, girl. You hear this all the time. You're telling yourself this all the time. You're having this inner conversation. So it's time to do it. But what you need to do is write down your purpose. And when I talk about your purpose, most of us, our purpose is connected to some kind of pain that we have, right? Something that we've kind of gone through and we feel like, I've figured this out. I've lost 10 pounds. I can help someone else do it. Or, you know, and I love this. And so write down your purpose, because what you're doing is, when you look back in the next 5 years, you could have helped hundreds of people, but you stopped because you were thinking about yourself and your ego, right?
Preach a little bit. Wow.
So I like to say, figure out your purpose, that thing you love, that thing you can't forget about, the thing that keeps nagging you in your soul. Like for me, helping women get confident on camera is one of the things that just lights me up. And every time I see someone jump off, I don't want to say a building, but that building, and fly on camera, it just makes me so happy, because I know I'm helping them create opportunities, create income. Like, it's a whole other thing. And then they get excited and want to do more. And so that's the way that I look at it, because I'm giving someone else abundance whenever I get on camera. So what abundance could you contribute to someone else when you get on?
So why do you think then video is so important these days? Yeah. What kind of results have you seen people get in their personal brands and businesses when they finally incorporate video?
I think we are no longer face-to-face. And I think that this pandemic taught us a lot, right? It pulled us back even more. And so companies like Zoom and Google had to step up, because video is what's next. If I can't connect with you in person, video is what I'm going to have to depend on, right? So if I can't go door to door like we used to as salesmen before and give you a brochure, what I can do is get on camera and guide you over to my website, right? So we want to think about it as a transition, just like we were saying, evolution from what we were doing before. And so when you are able to sit with someone and connect on camera, it's a different experience from just a graphic or a picture saying, go grab that. Completely different, right? So it's the next thing to an in-person experience. Closest
So
thing.
When we're ready to start using video to build our brands,
Yeah.
where do you think is the best place to start with that process?
I really think understanding exactly who you're talking to, right? And understanding the process. So the process of, and I have a really good video about this on YouTube, the process of losing 5 pounds. So you want to think about the goal, which is 5 pounds, and you want to think about the starting, right? Where that person is starting. And so even when we think about sales, we want to think about all the emotions that that person who is starting is feeling. I'm too lazy to just get up and work out. I eat all day. I don't feel good about myself. I feel sluggish. So that's your sales when it comes to videos. So what can you share about each of those thoughts that that person is having, right? And that is going to start priming them to let them know. So when you're talking about it, it's priming them to let them know that you are the person that knows the answer. You're the person. So now you've started positioning yourself as the expert or as that go-to person. So really understanding who you're talking to and what their struggles are is what's going to keep you flowing and just going through your content or even your products and services, right? Understand exactly who you're serving and connect that to your purpose. A lot of times we're looking at people and like, well, you know what? She's teaching the same thing I'm teaching. No, she's not. What's different about you and what you do? Example, someone who is teaching people how to be an influencer is completely different, or how to go viral is different from what I teach. I teach groundwork, foundational longevity in your business using video, right? So it's completely different. I teach you how to use products, digital products. I hate that word because I always stumble over it, but digital products, guys, and your courses and your services. How do you sell on camera as it pertains to those, or growing your email list, things like that? That's what I focus on, and that's what I teach. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I can't tell you how to sell. I don't know, because I feel like I can sell anything. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can't teach you how to go viral because it's just not what I've done. I can't teach you how to be a vlogger who just completely vlogs and depends on Google AdSense, because it's not what I do. So, yeah.
You know, you mentioned something else about having the quality of your images being something that would stop people sometimes from coming on camera. And I have to say, when I first came across your page, I loved how stunning your video quality was. It really, I mean, not only are you stunning, but it comes across in the video. So can you tell me how much I'm going to have to spend on equipment if I want to get videos that look like yours?
You know, this is the crazy thing, and this is so funny. If you look at my videos and my layouts, I always switch up my background. I'm always trying out different lighting, different. So sometimes you'll see me with natural light, which costs $0. Sometimes you'll see me with artificial lighting, you know, so it's like, I think what's really good about what I do is I can show you how to create amazing video on a budget. So people think that they think that I probably have a crew with me. Like anytime I'm walking a client through the course creation process and they see my videos, because I use my courses as an example, they're like, wow, so did you have a crew do this? And I'm like, no, this is what I'm going to teach you how to do. Right? So yeah, that's the funniest thing. So I'm just able to help other people achieve higher quality video. Another thing that I teach, well, yeah, with equipment, but another thing that I teach is your on-camera presence. Because a lot of times you don't realize I'm probably using my back camera on my phone, but I'm reeling you all the way in with my on-camera presence, right? Because I know exactly who I'm talking to. I know what we're talking about, and I have a flow in which I'm able to keep that person engaged and flowing through the end of the video. So A lot of it just has to do with you. So that's
Okay.
$0 too.
Well, okay. But still, there has to be a minimum base level of equipment that I
Yeah,
should have in order to have decent quality.
I'm
Because
sure you have it
if I
already.
click on a video and
Yeah.
it's looking fuzzy and hazy,
Okay.
I'm clicking right off. So I think there
Okay.
has to be
You're
a
my
bare
people.
standard.
Okay, I would say I'm sure all of us have an updated phone. When I say updated, maybe last 3 years or 4 years, which still has really high quality cameras. So your
Hmm.
phone, always the back camera. Although you can see yourself on the front camera, you always want to use your back camera and pay attention to the lens, right? And so I'm talking to you like the people on the podcast can see me showing you my
Right.
camera, but
We can envision it.
we can envision that. And so just remembering to speak into your lens, having a
Mhm.
tripod, don't depend on holding your phone, or you can prop it on books, but a tripod is fairly affordable. You can find a good one for $20. You can find an even better one for $40. And I have a guide that if you would allow me to share, I
Of
would love to
course.
share,
Yeah.
so that, you're able to see. That guide has a basic setup, it has an intermediate setup, and it has an advanced setup. So you can see all levels of. With video, your lighting is what matters, right? So even
Mm.
if you're using your phone, your light is really the key. Your light is what is going to bring your video to a whole other level. So whether
Hmm.
it's window light, or it's artificial lighting like a Diva ring light, or your box lights, or whatever it is, your lighting is key. You can have amazing video with your phone. All you need is a good light kit.
Good
Yes.
tips. And I definitely will link your list so people can take a look
Yay.
at that setup. Um, all right. So now that we know we don't need a lot of money for
No.
equipment, we don't necessarily need to hire someone to shoot it for us.
Hmm.
I wonder though, another hurdle people have to go across is editing. So is that
Yeah.
something that you think people should invest the time and money in software and learning, or should we just outsource the editing of those videos?
It really depends on where you are in your business. When I
Mm-hmm.
first started doing all of my stuff, I edited everything myself because that's what I had. So I always like to say we either have time or we have money, right? So if you have time, learn how to edit. It's one of the best skills that I own right now. And honestly, even moving forward, like I always tell myself, girl, there is no way that you cannot make money, because I think it's one of the top skills that you should have right now in this pandemic to be able to make a lot of money, because
Mm-hmm.
editing is at least 150 an hour, right? So if you're a good editor. And
Woo.
so learn how to edit. It's not that crazy. I think we think about it in an intimidating way. Video is such a beautiful process, guys. Like, I don't even know how to explain it to you. It's something that I was even afraid of. I used to be afraid of taking pictures. But as
Hmm.
I dived into it and kept learning, yeah, my
Look at you
skill kept
now.
growing. Yeah. But yeah.
Huh.
So
Okay.
learn. And if you have the money, definitely hire somebody. If you have the money right out the gate, hire for sure. Because I'm not going to have you waste your time on learning something that you are not going to use. But I
Mm-hmm.
also believe in knowing how to do something because you know how you want it done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you can call people on the BS if they're not really
There you
following the
go.
right process.
Yes.
So, okay. What kind of content though have you found resonates on Instagram versus YouTube for
Um,
businesses?
I feel like it's a mixture. I have a whole class about this.
Girl, you have everything.
Yes, I have a whole free class about it. So you can definitely check that out.
Mhm.
But shameless plug. But I think that for they're both different platforms and they work in different ways.
Mhm.
YouTube is more of a search engine, right? So if I'm looking for how to create videos on Canva, that's the kind of content that I'm looking to post. However, it's such a slimy slope because people still want to connect with you. They still want to know more about you because that's what's going to prompt them to buy. So it really depends
Mhm.
on the business's goals. That's the first thing that I want to say. because some people are on YouTube to create a show. And so their business goals are different from mine. Their goals would be probably growing so that they get paid from Google AdSense or to shop their show. And that's not what I'm specifically, that's not the main goal. If I get picked up by a company to talk about their products, cool. But my main goal on YouTube is to help find my people and serve them with my content. So my people are looking for how to create a better presence online, how to create a better visual presence online, how to stand out amongst the noise. You know, how do I keep these companies' eyes on me? Because when you have a brand's eyes on you, you are also going to have their audience's eyes on you, right? So it allows you to scale faster. So things like that is what I love sharing about. But now on Instagram, I feel like it's a bit more, people want to know more of who you are, what do you do that can probably help us, or, you know, like it's not so much based on searching. So although hashtags make it searchable, so some of my strategies for YouTube I do use on Instagram, but I feel like YouTube, first of all, YouTube ranks. As soon as you go into Google, YouTube's owned by Google, you can find a solution. I'm not necessarily looking for a solution on Instagram.
That's true.
Right. So we got to think about the different ways that I feel like Instagram is much more instant, which is why I always say, like, I hope that people, Instagram is a wheel. You gotta, it keeps you have to keep posting. You have to keep engaged. You have to, with YouTube, you can definitely grow. You post your videos, you go away, you do Instagram. I'm kidding. Or you do your work, because you shouldn't be on social media all day. and then, you know, you come back, and with YouTube, you see that, oh, wow, people are commenting, people are viewing, people are signing up for my email list. I don't have to do anything much. Whereas on Insta, so let's say it's a week time frame, and I post one video on YouTube, that's going to grow my email list by, let's say, 200 subscribers. And then I'm on Instagram, I have to post probably, you know, 5 times to get that same, hey, hey, focus here.
But
so it's just different.
You have to factor that it takes much more work, or
I feel like it
seems to take more work, but the payoff is much greater on YouTube, it seems like.
I do feel like that, because I have people finding me from videos I created forever ago. People are always like, oh my gosh, I found you on YouTube. And then they come over to Instagram. And so I killed 2 birds with 1 stone, kind of, you know? So I feel like it's more, I like to call YouTube more of a home, like, you know, where people can find me, they can interact and engage. You're seeing me moving and talking. They get to binge all of my content. And I get people telling me that all the time, like, you know, I just spent 5 hours with you. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Now, the thing is, because it's video content, most of my clients come ready to pull the trigger. They already know if they align with my values and my morals. They already kind of feel out who I am. They already see the quality of my work. So I don't have to sell them. They're really selling me sometimes. Like, do I want to take on your project? You know? But that's what the power of video is like. They've spent hours with me. I wasn't even present in person. I was probably creating something else for them. And so now they know that most people get into my inbox saying, hey, I know I want to work with you. Right? So that's one of the beautiful things about video content and people finding you on autopilot.
Wow. Yeah. That is the pitch, if I've ever heard one. So now, for anyone who's thinking, Xayli, I must work with you, how can we make that happen? How can these people find you?
Sure. You can definitely find me over at XayliBarclay.com, and you can find out more about how I work there. I have 2 aspects to business. I have my video side, where I have my academy and my mastermind. And I also have where I teach about how to create online courses. I am a Thinkific expert, so I am native to that platform. I definitely love that platform. And I have Think in Color coming up, which is an amazing summit that we do annually. And we have some amazing speakers. We just shared yesterday who they are. But yes, So yeah, you can find me over at xaylibarclay.com, and I'll guide you through on how we can work together.
If you enjoyed my conversation with Xayli, I just want you to know I have over 140 podcast episodes you can binge listen to on she'soffscript.com or anywhere else audio podcasts are available. Before you head out, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode next Thursday. All right, with that, we'll talk to you next week. Bye.